Hey, what's going on, folks? This is Dimitri back again. In this video, we're going to discuss that 6 myths that are wasting your time in regards to the passive income. And we're going to bust those and get those facts right so that you and I and both of us, or many of us, will not spend our time on that and spend our time actually making money instead of living in the dream world or whatever. So passive income myths that are wasting your time, so that we're going to discuss those and uncover those and make sure we're have a good understanding about those. So myth number 1, passive income 100% passive. This is such an incorrect statement, because to build out system we need to work on this, and it's a work in process, and pretty much every day. So people think that once you set it up, it's no longer about, like, you don't need to worry about it. You just put your whatever, just sit back and relax and don't do anything. But no, in reality, every income stream has to have adjustment requirements of work. It requires upwork and adjustment along the way. It can be less, then it can be more, depending on the business at hand and everything like that. So thus, let's say example like real estate. You maybe need to do some renovation, do some work on this, but even though all along the way, you collect the rent check, you collect rent payments and things like that, and you enjoy it, but even along the way you have to pay, and you have to keep up. Like, if you paid it out, obviously, but you have to maintain, you have to check in with the client, check in with the tenants and things of that nature. But before that, you gotta gather the money to get into it. So the key difference here is the leverage, but in reality, you gotta have Upwork to be done instead of like 100% passive. So, and that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, you can get rich quick. And that's such an incorrect statement as well, because let's say like you launch one course, publish an ebook, or start a YouTube channel, which is like and subscribe down below, which is very helps out my channel here. So, but so for that, you have to put into work. So you have to do investment, you have to do that. So a lot of things, like we get up like, hey, let's do like launch a course, or so we're like start a video. Well, you have to write it, you have to do it. So right, so, and that's a building the audience, investing into that audience, developing a system and things of that nature. So the myth of overnight success, and that's a myth. So we don't do that. This is basically not, we need to understand that, hey, if you're starting such a course, hey, there's going to be work involved in that system. So you got to have created, right? So that's that. Myth number 3, you need no money to start. Well, as a proponent of starting investing and beginner investing, and this channel is all about beginning your financial journey to switching your understanding, getting into it as a beginner investor, and getting all into that lifestyle, if you will. But you need invest. You need to have money. You need to start investing. So, or you need to have money to invest. So in that regard, as you probably check, if you were with my channel for a little bit, so you know that to be able to get into that system, into that stream of working capital, if you will, so you gotta start to have money on the side, or the work, or save up and everything like that. So in that regard, a lot of gurus, a lot of saying like, hey, start with nothing and all that. Majority, and I would say almost all of them saying like, it's basically getting into the debt, and a lot of them, which makes sense to a certain degree in the proper perspective. But if you don't have anything to basically cover that debt, or maintain it, or be able to pay it, so that's not going to be functional or doable, if you will. So to start it, let's say like dividends, like example, if you want to live off the dividend, like investing in the stock market, let's say, you got to have a capital to invest first, wait for at least a year, that's like to be in a neighborhood of getting things done, so or getting the income from that. So you gotta have money, right? So if you invest $100, well, if it's one perspective, but if you invest $1 million, that's another result, like, right? So you will have a specific results there, and you will be able to live off the dividends, right? In $1 million neighborhood. But if you like in $100 neighborhood, and it's not like putting you down or anything, but there's going to be different result. So it will give you a certain percentage. If you compare just the percentages wise, it will give you the same percentage, but it won't be the same money. So what I'm saying is that, hey, you gotta have money. So even digital business, startup costs, software, like let's say digital business, right? You gotta have startup costs, software development, ads, all that good stuff. So, right, then if you do it in investing, you gotta have to have capital so that it will work for you. So, and the myth is, it's not that you do, like, you can't create from anything, nothing. Like, if you don't have money, you won't be able to create anything. Obviously, there are startup costs involved. It's a dream that, like, hey, I don't have it, or I just work for it, and all of a sudden it's just boom, all of a sudden it came about. No, there is a startup cost involved, and that's the myth that we're busting out. So hey, if you want to jump into it, start building that habit that we talked about in this channel. So create a startup capital, like start saving up. So from that step onward, you will have success and investment and things like that. So that's myth number 3. Myth number 4, all passive income is online. Yeah, it's not correct. So assuming, let's say YouTube, right? So courses, drop shipping, or whatever. So there are, of course, offline options as well. So let's do real estate. So we talked about it in this channel as well. So how real estate can be a passive income stream, right? So not everything has to be online, right? So I mean, obviously you can expand into it. Let's say like YouTube or whatever, digitally, it's good, and it's going on really like nicely everywhere. But vending machines could be royalties that let's say you sell musical tracks, music and things like that, laundromats. So that's an interesting field that I was actually thinking to expand into. But a vending machine and real estate, for sure. Real estate is amazing. And the myth is that everything is online. No, it's not necessarily true. So that's myth number 4. Myth number 5, once you build it, it lasts forever. 100% no. 100% no. Like, why? Because nothing lasts forever, even business and things like that. It constantly involves, requires your attention as a business owner to maintain, keep it sharp, keep it, on track, in front of everybody, in front of the lines, everything. So nothing lasts forever. Market shifts, platform changes, everything changes. Competitors enter and exit and things like that. So example, right? Ad revenue drops. Let's say like in YouTube, right? So ad revenue drops, CPM fall, whatever, property value loses value. So if you don't, exceptionally, you don't maintain it or anything like that. So fluctuate. Amazon charges new fees and things like that. So let's see if you like in the e-commerce business. So things like that. So passive income needs maintenance. That's the main idea, right? So 5 myths that we really covered here, and that's basically passive income is not 100% passive, because, well, that's pretty much basically main idea. 2, you can get rich quick. You can, well, except if you win the lottery, really. So at this point, but every single business requires time, requires money, requires effort, especially if you're building a business, especially if you're building a system, right? In like, let's say YouTube, or real estate, like anything. So depending on whatever you're building, really. So it still needs time. So either acquire capital or like just basically buy real estate. It takes like a month to process everything. So it's not going to be overnight anyway. So myth number 3, you need no money to start. You do need to have money to start, because a lot of gurus claim that you don't need to start. You just do it, and whatever you buy, whatever. but you gotta have capital to buy stuff, right? So it's kind of like crazy loophole that like, hey, you don't need them, you do, right? All passive income is online. It's not, because real estate, right? So you can do actually very nice. It more or less a side gig, if you will. So, but passive income is never really passive. So even dividends, like you gotta have capital, you gotta check balances and make sure everything is tied up, or like this company start losing value or like making some weird financial decisions, and you see and notice and like, hey, why are you taking, let's say like Coca-Cola, like as an example, like Coca-Cola takes a weird debt and you just like, what are you guys doing financial statements, right? So something like that. And lastly, building your own, like building businesses lasts forever. It's not lasting forever, right? So that's basically what I wanted to tell you guys. So reality check is passive income is real, but it's not magic and it's not 100% passive. So it's a system and that needs to be maintained every now and then. Even though like we're talking about passive, 100% passive is that like you done and it's just basically giving you money, nothing needed. No, even real estate that you do, like even if you set up, you know, you start buying and everything, you got into a position like, hey, I'm done buying and everything, and just bringing up the check, just getting checks and everything. But even with that, tenants change, you got to maintain property, you got to do the accounting and everything like that. So that requires time. So that's about that. Think of a front landing capital, future earnings with less effort. So yeah, that's exactly right. So you gotta understand that you gotta have to do work up front so that the system will function properly further down the road, right? So you gotta invest into that rather than like it's not 100% passive. So even with the proper setting, you gotta maintain that if you either grow or maintain the same results, right? So you gotta keep on that. So invest index funds, let's say investing, keep on it, because you gotta understand, hey, what's that, what's the results, good results, not good results, why good results. Even that process is giving you is a process, right? So real estate, property management, everything like that. So digital assets, if you wanna people not to lose interest in that, you gotta maintain and update it. Things change, trend is changing, books needs to be updated, like information needs to be updated, everything like that. So over time, business system that built correctly is gonna be profitable, but it needs to have maintenance involved in it, because as any other system, like machinery or like, you know, cars or other systems, it needs maintenance, right? So, and that's basically what it is. So to wrap it all up, passive income is not 100% passive all the time. So if you want to grow, you gotta put more work. If you don't want to grow or maintain it, you will have to maintain it. So at least to keep up with that. So if you guys like that video, like to subscribe down below. Check out my 9-to-5 job, now hustle, no side hustle. So I previously recorded it. So like to subscribe down below. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think. And that's basically my take on that what a passive income is, and just, you know, busting all that, you know, misunderstandings of like, hey, I'm living in a dreamland. I know it's not really sometimes maybe not super interesting to hear that, but we gotta have proper understanding in things of business and understanding the systems and what are we jumping into and what are we about to like uncover and change in our lives. So financial understanding is to have proper understanding instead of living in a dreamland, so to speak. So I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe down below, and thank you guys for watching. So I am out. See you guys next time. Ciao.